bug out vehicles and just my considerations and my list of what I have and what I think about and thinking out loud here. So here are some just pictures of what you would think a bug out vehicle would look like. I have a list of a few things that I would consider, and these aren't necessarily in order, but I'll put them on the screen. You got reliability, plentifulness in terms of volume of how many of the vehicle is out there on the road or has been sold. You got fuel efficiency. You got seats. In terms of how many people you need or want to carry. Then adding to that, you have cargo, which also adds. Is it a hitch? Does it have a roof rack? Things you can add to increase cargo. Off road, which then you get into lift and tires and all this other sorts of things. You have speed. So how literally physically fast is it? Is it super slow? Is it super fast? That in some scenarios can be more of a consideration than not. Then you have cost. How you looking at this here, this Earth Roamer. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but these are insanely capable and insanely expensive. So how much are you willing to spend? Is this something extra on top of the vehicles you already own? Is this something that could kind of fit the gap of what could be a bug out vehicle, but could also be a car that you just own and drive on a daily basis? You got towing, towing things like a trailer with more stuff, or an RV, I guess, with all of your stuff, or other things like that, towing people out as well. And then you have the consideration on gas versus diesel. In terms of cost and efficiency and availability and transportability, things like that. So just wanted to go through a few of the tabs I have here, that are related to those categories. So things like plentifulness here at the top. This is from Car and Driver. Just some articles I pulled up. The top 25 best-selling cars and trucks. Just to quickly go through here, we'll start at number 5. Well, there you go. Camry at 8. There you go. Pickup truck at 7 with 300,000. Honda CR-V at 6 with 361,000. 5, you got the Tesla Model Y. 4, you got the Toyota RAV4. 3, you got the Ram pickup, the Silverado, and the F-150. So all the top 3 are pickup trucks. So that is something to consider. Moving here to the next article, the 5 best-selling vehicles in the United States since 2010. You have the Honda CR-V, which is also on that list, the Camry, the Ram pickup, the Silverado, and the Ford F-Series. So the top 3 are the same top 3 from last year as they have been since 2010. The number 1 they have sold, it was in here somewhere, Ford F-Series is named Uncle Sam's favorite line of trucks every year since 1977, whatever that means, and they've sold 9.4 million during the last 12 years. Here, let's see, between 2013 was last year when GM sold fewer than 500,000 copies, with a total sales between 2010 and now exceeding 6.5 million. So something to consider. Moving on to the other category here, this is JD Power. I'll zoom in here. This is, dependability scores. The vehicle dependability slumps as rate of deterioration increases. JD Power finds. Okay, doesn't matter. JD Power 2024 U.S. Vehicle Dependability Study. You have problems per 100 vehicles. Lexus and Toyota are at the top. Some of you probably already guessed that or assumed that. When you think of reliability, you think of Toyota and Honda, which Lexus is also in there with Toyota. Moving on to things like reliability, which probably should be at the beginning of this. This is a Automo blog, and just searching random stuff on Google just to kind of find this. Some of this is already general information, but here you go. IC Cars longest lasting cars to reach 200,000 miles. You have the Toyota Sequoia number 1 with the 7.4% of the cars over 200,000 miles. And then you have Chevy Suburban, the Ford Expedition, the GMC Yukon, and the Toyota 4Runner. Out of the 10, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are Toyotas. And you have a Honda, a Ford, a Chevy, 2 Chevys, and that's basically a Chevy, 3 Chevys. So they're your general. And I mean, this drops. I mean, percentage over 200,000. You got 7 to 5, and then 4. I mean, that drops pretty quickly. Average for all models less than 1%. Moving on to another article here, you had the cars that would last the longest. This is from The Street. Number 1, you have the Toyota Sequoia, again with the potential lifespan of 296,000, Land Cruiser 280, and Chevy Suburban 265. So things to consider. Yeah, and there you go, another Toyota. So 3 of the top 4 are Toyotas. Here's another longest lasting, most likely last 250 plus. This is another iSeeCars.com study. There you go, Toyota, 3 of 4, same. Get F350. So just trucks. Here was something I wanted to add in here. The average age of a car in 2024 is 12 and a half years. So kind of thinking of what you're going to see on the road if you are out there. And another thing to consider that I added on here was the median gas car range of 413 miles. So you got maximum range of 765 for gas and electric 520. And there's a map of Vegas to give you an idea of how far and where you can go if you're anywhere near Vegas, I guess. I don't know why they picked there. Maybe because all the EVs are in California. I know Vegas is not in California, but it's close. Something to consider with this, for a bug-out vehicle, how far do you want to be, away from people? And if you live in the city, or you want to stay away from the people in the city, hey, I want to be 413 miles at least, one full gas tank away from all these people. So whether that's installing an extended range fuel tank on your car, whether that's getting something like this, which is in my next tab. If you have a diesel car or gas, having extra gas in a little hitch thing that you tow behind your car or truck or whatever you have, and carrying extra gas. It's a lot easier to carry stuff like that in a pickup truck bed. So this pump, for diesel that adds, you can add, thousands, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of miles of range. Getting multiple gas tanks in here, and there's also some options on some. I don't know if they have these on all pickup trucks, but on some you can have extended fuel range tanks. They give you crazy 4, 5, 6, 700 miles of range to go in your pickup truck. Then you get into the fuel efficiency of diesel versus gas. There's obviously tons of Ford pickup trucks and just pickup trucks in general on the road. But then you get into seating, whether it's just you that's leaving, or going somewhere else, or it's you and a friend or spouse or significant other or whatever, or if it's you and your family. So whether you need 2 seats, 5 seats, 8 seats, whatever that may be. A SUV style with 3 rows also gives you the ability to sleep in the car if that is something that comes up. Putting a bed in there if it's only a few of you in the back, or just reclining in the seats. Whereas a pickup truck you can't really do that. Maybe in the front 2 seats, and you got one laying across the back, but that limits your inside in cabin space. The truck allows you to throw a bunch of stuff in the back, as well as pick up people potentially if that's what you want to do. As well, you can also carry people in the back, if you really have to, depending on how far you are going. Then you get into conversations of off-road capabilities. What you want to do to your car, whether it's a purpose-built car or a something you just drive back and forth already, to work, or, just have as one of your main cars, so, lifting it, the tires you have on it, and things like that, and the money and costs associated, with that as well. As I talked about speed and price comes into play with all of that as well. And then gas and diesel was the last thing. So those are some of the things that I think about and consider with the car that I have now, and as well as a future car, whatever that may be, if that's something that I want to look into. You also have things like RVs, whether those are trailers or something like a class B or C, for driving around, with all of your stuff. There's obviously limitations with that. You also have considerations like, dirt bikes, or maybe several dirt bikes if it's just you or a couple people, or your children are old enough to drive them. Going off, in dirt bikes, there's some communication things that you have to consider there, as well as communication and coordination. They are very maneuverable. You can get to places you can't in cars. They are also very fuel efficient. In carrying 5 gallons of gas, you can get pretty far. You also have things like the electric, a bike in general, but also electric bikes, with some sort of solar, charging, get some assisted power for, going dozens and dozens of miles. But obviously there's pros and cons to that. Whether you're doing just little trips to go get stuff, or to go look at or scout some things. But the main vehicles that I wrote down, my top 10, I guess you would call it, bug out vehicles that I would consider. I have what, 11 of them here. So I guess it's a top 10. I guess some of these are very similar. I got the Toyota Tacoma, the Toyota Tundra, the Toyota Sequoia, the Toyota Land Cruiser, the Toyota 4Runner, the Ford F-150, the Ford Explorer, the Chevy Tahoe / Suburban, the Chevy Silverado, the Lexus LX, and the Lexus GX. So a lot of Toyotas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Toyota-based cars. There's pros and cons, to all of those. The Tacoma is, going to be more fuel efficient than the Tundra. Well, maybe that's not the case anymore. The Tundra used to have a V8. It's got, something different now, but they're both pickup trucks. Pros and cons with that. But you have, serious reliability and serious numbers behind those cars in terms of what you're going to run into, along the road. And, something I did touch on, being able to repair and have, things to repair, having spare parts and being able to repair, with the knowledge and know-how, as you come across problems, if you're going for days and weeks and months, on end, just common things, because some of this stuff could potentially be, life or death, scenarios and situations. So having those things and the know-how on how to do that is essential. The Sequoia and the Land Cruiser are very similar, smaller, bigger, the smaller version and the bigger version. There's obviously different generations. The Land Cruiser is way different now than it used to be, and they just came out with a new Sequoia as well. So there's different generations to consider with those in terms of what you want, and with that comes cost. And that's the same with the LX and GX too. They got a new GX out, and the LX is bigger. But both of those, Land Cruiser, Sequoia, LX, and GX, all offer 3-row seating. So for families, or if you want the capacity, to carry more people, and that's something you need to do. Those are, I think the best, at least from what I've compiled so far. And let me know if you got it, if there's stuff that I'm missing or other stuff that I could talk about or think about. Those are the best cars that I would consider for 3 rows. I also have, the Ford Explorer on there, which has 3 rows as well. Those are also very plentiful. Those are also cop cars. So getting, upgraded and beefy parts from those, or even using those, and depending on what kind of scenario you're in, it kind of, the psychology. Wow. The psychology behind those, and having lights, even if they don't mean anything, at some point, in a certain scenario, but those also have their own limitations. But then the F-150, as well as the Silverado, pickup trucks. Plentiful, millions of them out there, in terms of, finding, another one, or pulling pieces off of another one to fix yours. There's going to be a lot more of those. So that's a serious benefit, on, picking that and having that sort of vehicle, when you're out and about on the road in these scenarios. And then the last one was the Tahoe Suburban /Suburban, which is the same category as the, Sequoia Land Cruiser LX and GX, through row, big, tons of them out there, tons of generations, you can, pick and choose, based off of how much money you want to spend. But those are my, considerations of my potential off-grid bug out vehicles. So, bye.